aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Lincoln's new craft cocktail lounge is Bar 48 in Lincoln. Located at 2639 North 48th Street, Bar 48 offers everything from cocktails to beer to wine and so much more. With summer right around the corner, you can always enjoy Bar 48's frozen beverages. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on their live music performances every Saturday night. Make plans to visit Bar 48 on North 48th Street in the heart of the University Place neighborhood today.
Out here on Nebraska's calm, welcoming waters, fishing is a breeze. It's the sweet spot where solo anglers find quiet before the catch, families reel in memories, and first-timers discover what makes fishing so special. From the Panhandle to the Platte, the best fishing happens here, beneath Nebraska skies. Get started at letsfishnebraska.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Ticket Weeknights. Appreciate you guys hanging along. 402-464-5685 is the Starter Heyman text line. As always, great way to join into the conversation. We got no Rose baseball today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. They'll be back on Friday. It is the All-Star weekend, as me and DP talked a lot about the home run derby. But that being said, you'll be able to keep it live here throughout all of this. And then, of course, you can still get that Ticket app as well, get that extra content. But with that being said, you can always use the streams, Facebook, YouTube, XL, Channel 961, all great ways to put a face to the voice. We're going to dive into some basketball. We talked a lot of baseball in 6 to 7, 7 to 8, Boston Orman, Nick Standard, and of course now DP. But let's make some room for some basketball. We'll talk NBA, but also I want to talk a little bit of college ball as well. But we'll start off with some of the guys in the NBA Summer League that are Huskers. So you got Jack McVay, Bryce Williams, Juwan Gary, and K-State Tominaga. Bryce Williams so far has been a really interesting bright spot. For a guy that, it was as good as he was, that carried Nebraska, whether the game ended in a win or not, carried Nebraska through quarters at a time, statistically was efficient, was a good defender when he wanted to be, could knock down the three-point shot, could knock down the mid-range shot, could go downhill and find ways to score inside. You found an efficient three-level scorer, and to my disbelief, he goes undrafted. Absolutely shocking that a guy, in my mind, as good as Bryce Williams, goes undrafted. Now, does he slide in the draft? Maybe. I can see something like that happening, but I mean, some people were thinking about him as a late second or third round guy, and to completely fall off the board was surprising, but he got about 14 minutes with the Detroit Pistons. Had some really good shooting. And again, it was only 14 minutes, but he put enough out there in that NBA Summer League. Hopefully, as this Summer League continues, Bryce Williams can keep getting more minutes. Again, to my disbelief, I could not believe that Bryce Williams was not drafted in that NBA draft whatsoever. You know, plenty of good prospects. You start mixing in the overseas people that some of these owners, GMs have their eyes on that go unnoticed, and then the draft stacks up with a bunch of names that you didn't even account for. And unfortunately for Bryce Williams, like I said, he fell off the list completely. The biggest cons of him would maybe just be that quick twitch athleticism. In the college game, he was big enough, long enough to just kind of use his body to get that separation. Maybe that's the concern for Bryce Williams, but it didn't show up all in that Summer League. So shout out to Bryce Williams. And then again, guys like Casey Tama, Juwan Gary, they're going to have more opportunities as well to try to crack into an NBA roster or at least get noticed enough, G League, maybe get onto two-way contracts later down the road. As far as just Husker hoops, though, what I really wanted to talk about first here is I want to figure out what is that goal. You know, if you're a Nebraska basketball fan, even if you're a Creighton fan, I'll allow you guys to text in. How many wins does Nebraska basketball need? You know, give me the number of wins that you will find acceptable. And if it's not just wins, you know, what's the caveat? Is it X amount of wins plus a tournament appearance, or is it X amount of wins plus a tournament win, not just an appearance? Because we've gone through a couple of years now where Fred Hoiberg, this has been a long drawn out process. And to be fair to Fred Hoiberg, I never thought this was going to be an easy fix. You know, we saw it with Husker football. Even year one with Matt Rule, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Year two, we finally had some progress. But at least the football department here at the University of Nebraska has a history, it has tradition, and arguably the best facilities around college football. They're going to be hard pressed to find better universities, better facilities around the football program at Nebraska than any other university. So you have that major selling point. Basketball, I mean, what are you really selling? You're selling guys like Eric Strickland, our tickets of very own, who's had that NBA experience. You're looking at the recent guys like Delano Banton, who, you know, although it hasn't been super consistent for him, he's had his opportunities. Same thing, Sam Griesel had his opportunities. You know, talking about the guys right now, Bryce, Juwan, Casey, they're at least going to get their opportunities. We've really struggled to build a consistent winning culture, mainly because I just think it's hard to sell this program to you know, those top prospect portal guys. So when you get a guy like Leo Curtis from Iceland, which I think is a brilliant move from Fred Hoiberg, I encourage anybody to go check out film on Leo Curtis. 7'2" center, can play the forward, honestly, with the type of range he has. The jumper's interesting. I won't deny you there. But he can knock it down from range. And he's got a unique little turnaround game despite his size. And he's done enough. And again, now it's in that professional league overseas, nothing near to the NBA, and likely not even as tough as some of these college programs when you get into the SEC, or, you know, you're playing your Dukes, North Carolina's, any of the powerhouses. It's not that level of competition. But you're seeing a guy that's playing with grown men, and he's putting up solid numbers. And the biggest thing for me is the shooting numbers. Shooting doesn't change a whole lot. If you can knock it down from X amount of feet overseas, you can probably knock it down the same way when you're in the U.S. So that's a guy who I think it's a gem of a find. His recruiting probably picked up as soon as Fred Hoiberg put interest on him. But 7'2", he's going to be a freshman walking in here. And I think it's just going to add a ton of matchup problems. So add Rink Mast, who we know we're getting back, who's going to be fully healthy. They were smart, in my mind, to just take it incredibly slow with him through the offseason. You know, after, I believe it was Kansas State on the road, that was when we first kind of realized Rink Mast may have a major injury problem, or at least just a minor injury problem. He plays throughout the entire season. And at the end, you realize how much pain and discomfort it was causing him. And the best way to go about it was surgery, but he's going to have to miss an entire year. Up until that point, though, you know, despite even playing through that injury, Rink Mast, you could say, was our best player. Like, indefinitely. As flashy as other guys were, if you're looking for the all-around best player, Rink Mast was getting rebounds. He was our best playmaker, and that night he could drop 30-plus points. And it wasn't 30-plus points versus a bad opponent. You know, he could drop 20-plus versus the best centers in the country, Kalkbrenner, you know, Zach Edey. It was insane how good he was at just using his versatile game to make life a living hell for any of the fives or fours trying to guard him. And it was, again, pretty similar to what Fred Hoiberg's done in the past, using playmaking through that high elbow and with Rink Mast even to the top of the key with him. But the biggest thing for Nebraska basketball and how they made it to the March Madness tournament, and unfortunately they lost to Texas A&M, was just the versatility was a nightmare, I think, for a lot of opposing coaches. And if you couldn't stop Rink Mast down, now you're really in trouble, especially when we had Keisei Tamanaga running out there on the perimeter. But now you don't have Keisei, but you do still get Connor Season. We'll have to see how these other guys add in. Obviously, Sam Hoiberg showed some improvements. You want to see his efficiency numbers keep going up. I think he's a great shooter, doesn't take a ton of shots, which is fine when you have a guy like Bryce Williams who's playing as well he has, but towards the later half of the season, you kind of saw that with Sam Hoiberg, how he's going to have to be a bigger part of this offense if they're going to want to have some chances to win. And you saw that. And when you finally got to the college basketball crown, although not the March Madness tournament, it's a postseason trophy that not everybody else gets to go and do. Anytime you get postseason, I don't care if it's a lame bowl game in college football or if it's the college basketball crown that happened last year. It's just extra time, extra practices, extra time with, your next group going forward. And maybe you can find some young stars. And one of those was Cale Jacobson, the Nebraska native. That's why that college basketball tournament was so massive, was not only did it put Nebraska at least held their chin up at the end of the season saying, you know what, didn't go the way we wanted, but we fought till the end, and at least we ended the year winners. One team in Division I gets to do that in the March Madness tournament. One Division I team gets to do that in the college basketball crown. And you get a Division II only one and a Division III only one. Basically, you got 4 teams throughout the entire country that can say they ended their year on a win. Does the difference matter? Certainly. But it's finally a spot for Nebraska basketball to end the year on a feel-good note. And I just hope that finally brings momentum into this, what I think is a massive year for Fred Hoiberg. I've been a big-time Fred Hoiberg defender. I think to push him out, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better basketball mind than Fred Hoiberg. If you want to complain about recruiting, I'd point to NIL. I don't know how much of a benefit Nebraska basketball has when it comes to NIL and trying to get the best players. We obviously are a football school. If you want to talk about winning, we can say we're a volleyball school. I'm not going to defend that. The volleyball team's been absolutely incredible. No shade to them. But if we're talking about dollars, like obviously football is the one bringing in most of the revenue there. Therefore, they're going to get most of the revenue when it comes to targeting what kind of recruits they want. And it's just a slippery slope as to what's all left remaining. So again, I circle back to that Leo Curtis because I think that's a really, really good get for this squad. And especially if you pair him with Rink Mast, if Connor Essegian can continue to do what he does. And then again, Cale Jacobson, who absolutely came alive during the college basketball crown. Don't think anybody had expectations that he would be as good as he was. And it wasn't just, he's making some hustle plays here and there. No, he was leading at times offensively with big time 3-point shots. But the thing for him is it didn't end there. He was also playing really good, steady defense. And that's a Nebraska native. It's nice to finally land a Nebraska native that is able to perform in the way he is. We've lost a lot of them. Obviously, Chucky Hepburn, Hunter Sal's, and we just haven't been able to get the big names, but we were able to get Cale Jacobson, and he may very well, if he continues the crazy trend that he was on during the college basketball crown, he could turn out to be a phenomenal player, especially if the 3-point shooting is anything like it was in high school. I believe it was Ashland where he was from, and you can correct me if I'm wrong from the text line, but you saw it in that state tournament games down there at the Pinnacle Bank Arena. He was that guy, and he had all the pressure on the world on him to perform, and he did so in massive moment after massive moment. So you like the addition there. And then also some guys that you're going to be curious about. Kendall Blue coming in as a senior. What can he do? And then getting back Jamarcus Lawrence. He's also a senior. He was with the Huskers. He left. Now he's back. But, again, he's a senior. You're getting a veteran there. So is Kendall Blue, another senior. And then Burke Burr-Eucton-Gel. He's going to have a lot of pressure, I think, to have a much better season. Obviously, last year, I think a lot of people were a little bit surprised to see it go as bad as it did for him. He had some really strong games, and then all of a sudden we got to a point halfway through the second season where it felt like he was really trying to figure out where he was most effective. If he needed to be the guy to step up on offense, if he needed to, he needed to go to work on the boards, and he wasn't the only one. Nebraska many times last year was struggling on the boards, and you'd have guys like Sam Hoiberg doing the heavy lifting, which is great, but you want your bigs to be doing most of that. Burke Burr-Eucton-Gel's season was just so up and down that next year, if you can find that consistency with him, I think he can be a really good player. Now, I don't think he's all Big Ten selection. I don't think he's in there, but he can live up to a solid role player where if you need 15 points from him, maybe you can have it that night. But the biggest thing is, can you get 7 rebounds, 6 at the least, and just play good defense? His defense was the best thing about him. And if he wants to lean into that role with this team, I think if you want, your new enforcer to replace Juwan Gary, Burke Burr-Eucton-Gel might be your best bet because he really was good defensively. That is the biggest compliment I give. He would give players, if he could stay out of foul trouble, a hard time, because he's quick enough to contest people on the outside, and he's also big enough that if they want to try bully ball, Berke Beruktingel, whatever you thought about him offensively, defensively, that's where he was at his best. So maybe you can replace the defensive anchor that was Juwan Gary and Berke Beruktingel. And again, with the addition of Leo Curtis, can we take some of that offensive pressure off him as well? Now, if he's having a great game, green light, go shoot it. We've seen him hit big time threes. It's not like he can't. But if you're not expecting it from him, which I think was the problem last year, is we got to a point where we heavily relied on anybody that wasn't Juwan Gary or Bryce Williams to be that offense. And Berke, whether he was told to, but through coaches, whether it was designed for him, or he just felt the need to, took a much bigger chunk of that scoring load. And then it clearly just wasn't working out. And it's not all blame on him. We had a bunch of guys trying to take on the scoring load. And again, going full circle here, Bryce Williams was still carrying teams through quarters while we're trying to figure out who can be that guy just to give us 10, 12, 15 points that we can swing this game. And Berke Beruktingel, again, wasn't that guy offensively, but defensively, I think that was the best thing for him. And that's why I like this new roster with the additions that we have, because he can just lock in on being what he is best at, which is a gnat on defense. You can chase guys around the perimeter and also is big enough, has the size that he can do a good job on the block defensively if he stays out of foul trouble. That wasn't a major problem his last year, but a few games you could see it where frustration would come in, and somewhat like Jokic in the NBA. You'll see a frustration file pretty often from him. Berke Beruktingel nowhere near to that extent, but when it feels like when a couple rack up quickly, the third one wasn't too far behind. And then some of the other additions in here, we talked about Cale Jacobson, but the other big time 3-point shot that you're adding, Price Sanford out of Iowa. That was twice last year that guy probably ripped your heart out if you're a Nebraska basketball fan. If you're a Creighton basketball fan, you probably didn't care too much at all. But Sanford is a huge addition because now, okay, you have Connor Season, who is a good shooter. I know a lot of people are probably thinking of like that last part of the season, but if you actually look at Connor Season's stats, by the very end of it, his numbers are solid. It's about where you'd expect in I'm not going to say cream of the crop elite, but where you expect some of the better shooters in the college basketball game to end up at the end of the year. So he's up there. He really, if you want consistency, sure. But if you want better 3-point shooting numbers, don't expect an insane 10% jump because he was already sitting there pretty well at the end. The biggest thing for him is screw the 3-point, efficiency. I thought that was pretty solid there. Would you like you to knock it up a few more notches? Absolutely. But can you get your 2 field goal percentage up? And can you make your 2-point field goal attempts go up? He settled for the 3 a little bit too much. And there's times where he would, I feel like he would try to drive and kick when it's like, if you just go all the way to the rim, worst case scenario, you're getting a foul and there's nobody. I would much rather have out there the Connor Season shooting a couple of free throws. Between him and Bryce Williams, take your poison. You felt pretty good about both those guys. So for Connor Season, can you work on what K-State did so well? Can you catch people falling asleep? If all they want to do is give you credit for your 3-point game and nothing else, well, now you just use the scouting report against them. And that's where K-State did such a phenomenal job. It takes a lot to hide the defensive weaknesses, and that's why guys like him have such a hard time getting into the NBA. But offensively, in a college game, he was a nightmare because every time you wanted to chase him out and completely deny him the 3-point shot, he was a savant when it came to cutting back door. And what helped him out a ton through that process was having guys like Rink Best at that high elbow who are just constantly looking and waiting for it. So now that Connor Season has Rink Best back on the court, he's the playmaking big forward that he's almost a pass first big. He's very good and savvy when it comes to sneaking in those passes, even when teams are expecting it. Like I said, he's good enough to shoot it. So you can't, sag off of Rink Mast and dare him and just cover up the rim so that any backdoor cut is fruitless. He's a good enough shooter that you're going to have to go out there and respect him. And it's going to come down to the communication of whatever team we're playing is, can you keep an eye on Connor Season? And if Connor Season wants to run around the 3-point line all day, easy thing to do. If he wants to punish them, catch them backdoor, slip on screens, I think that's going to be where he can really shine. Is, again, I thought the 3-point shooting, despite the end looking shaky, you go look at the numbers, it's actually pretty solid for Connor Season. But at the end of the year, it's, can you get more 2 field goal attempts? Like, as simple as that. If you can make him respect that other part of your game, you just put those teams in a lot bigger flex. You can, fake the cut, and all of a sudden they got to at least respect it, back up, and then you come around screaming around a screen and get a much more wide open look, as opposed to just standing there at the 3-point line, waiting for the screen and not even threatening to ever deny it or go back door. And that's kind of a lot of what I saw last year with this team. And it's not all on Connor Essegian's fault. I mean, the offense, like I said, as a whole struggled. So finding respect for any part of our offensive game that wasn't Bryce Williams was hard to do. But that's why I like the addition of Leo Curtis, even if he's not, playing tons of high minutes and it takes him a while to be effective, even if it's down the road. I think he could probably be effective early in certain matchup situations. And then with Rink Mast, again, I thought he was arguably our best player when he was healthy 2 years ago. And then, of course, you're bringing the guys that aren't entirely new to this team, and Jamarcus Lawrence, and then Samford. Jamarcus played for us. Samford played against us multiple times. So you had a bunch of 3-point shooting. You like it there. Defensively, that has been the one thing about this Nebraska basketball team that has yet to fade in these past few years with Fred Hoiberg and his coaching staff. So I'm not going to expect it to just completely fall apart here. It's just got to be better offense. I mean, that's the thing that's been killing this team year in, year out, is the offensive droughts. You can't go 7-8 minutes, even if it's the Big Ten and not the toughest conference when it comes to Power 4 basketball. Those teams are all good enough to beat you anywhere if you're going to go on that big droughts. And again, the last Husker game I went to last year was Minnesota, and that one ended on Minnesota winning through the result of Nebraska going through at least a 5-minute drought late in that second half. So with that being said, that's what I got on Husker basketball. I think that number they got to have is probably 20 wins. 20 wins to make a conference tournament. Or excuse me, not the conference tournament. Make the March Madness tournament. Especially before they blow this thing up. There's also that part where you're starting to get into this new era of all postseasons better if it's longer and bigger playoff brackets. Which if you're, any of those TV stations like ESPN, Fox, yeah, of course it is. It's just more and more money in your pocket. If you're one of those schools that, Nebraska, sure, we can extend the playoffs, but when you get to that point, you're really going to struggle getting that respect. So with that being said, that's where I'm at with Husker Hoops. I'm excited about it. I think the win's 20. If you can get to 20 and you can make a March Madness tournament, especially try to do it before they blow it up into more than 64 teams, because you're going to have to hear that argument until the program ceased to exist, as Nebraska finally made it when they expanded March Madness. I think it's possible, though. 20 wins in the Big Ten. The Big Ten's losing a lot of really, really great players. You saw a few of them get drafted, 2 of them in the top 5 from the Big Ten. So it's a good opportunity for Nebraska. And I think the clock is ticking because Fred Hoiberg, as much respect he's garnered here, you have to start making some new waves. You have to start doing things differently. Otherwise, you're going to get that Tim Miles treatment towards the end where people are happy with some of the years in the past. But if you fail to eventually break through and win that first March Madness game, there's a limit to everything. And I'm not at that limit. I'm nowhere near it. This season would have to be pretty disastrous in my mind to start getting near that line. But the rest of the fan base, I'm sure, isn't as far away as I am. So that being said, we'll put a pin on Husker Hoops. We'll throw out the break here. On the other side, we will talk some NBA, in particular, some of Mark Cuban's words about the Olympics. Don't go anywhere. Harrison Arens, like I said, going solo. Ticket Weeknights. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes! Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Unearth the secret to long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread's Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread's Central Tire Pros because we tread differently. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now. In our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Harrison Arens on the ones and twos. We're going to talk some NFL here. Also, we'll tie it into the NBA. The first thing I want to talk about is Mark Cuban, and then we'll talk about the NFL with poor Teddy Bridgewater. Some interesting things, and the theme of this segment is going to be like, essentially money ruins everything, it feels like, at certain points in time here. So the first one coming up with Mark Cuban, and we mentioned this shortly on One-on-One with DP, and I didn't want to paraphrase it, so we kind of put a pin in it. But again, 402-464-5685. This is Mark Cuban talking about the Olympics and our NBA players involved in it. So his quote is, NBC is making billions from the Olympics. We're giving it away for free and taking all the injury risk. I tell Adam Silver, let's create our own World Cup, like FIFA, one of the biggest events in the world. The players would make a lot more, but Adam wouldn't do it, so I sold my team. I hate that answer. I hate that answer completely. And this is my whole point, on that first hour from 6 to 7, where you get to a point when some of these owners, I'm not saying Mark Cuban's purely like this because he's not even the owner or part owner of the Mavericks anymore. You get to the point where it's all about money and the love for the sport just isn't anywhere to be found. It's just purely, I want to protect my assets. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about the growth of the sport. I don't care about, letting the guys play for the country. These are my assets. You don't get to touch them. They're my assets. Like, to me, that's just an insane behavior to have. And first of all, yes, the NBA is making money through the Olympics. The NBA players, that's drawing in attention. But don't act like basketball is the only Olympic event happening. So to say that NBC is making millions, is all they do in the Olympics is play basketball? No, of course not. So what are you talking about there? I hate the attitude of, it's my assets. You guys don't get to do anything unless we're all making money. Like, why can't we just have a point in time when the Olympics were simple and you had pride for your country? So therefore, you went and played it. Doesn't mean you got pride in whatever administration. I don't even want to get political about it. Please don't take it that way. But it's just, you want to play for your country on the world's biggest stage and say, the USA is best at basketball, period. That's it. That's the only thing. It's not a convoluted idea. It's just a respect thing. And the best competitors, in my mind, would want to go and do that. Go compete for the country. And you see it all the time, where this last year in particular, where unfortunately for USA basketball, you run into these years where things are looking great and then you have to make a big revenge run. But you see LeBron James, Steph Curry. Like, if you want to live in Mark Cuban's world, if he would have got his way sooner than later, we never would have saw that with Steph Curry and what he did to Team France. That never would have happened. Like, that's the history you're talking about skipping out on. So when I hear stuff like that, it's gross. I get it. It's your team. It's your, not your players, but you're paying those players contracts. So they're your employees. But that'd be like, say I'm just a ground hitting broadcaster. I'm just amazing at it. And I'm getting an award to go accept it. And I got to go out there and travel. And I got to do a lot of speeches. Maybe it's going to hurt my voice, whatever. I'm getting an award, but it's not tied to the ticket at all. And DP says, you're not doing that. That makes no sense, because you're my asset. If I'm not making any money off of that, I don't want you going. Like, it's just insanity. And I get it. There's injury risk. But this goes to like all the all-star games. NFL, NBA, NHL, pick it. It's gotten so much about protecting the assets that we can't even have fun. We can't go watch the best players compete. The only times we get to do that is when you see a guy like Kobe Bryant have personal wanting to challenge LeBron, like he did in that last, epic all-star game he was a part of. You have those moments where, in my mind, the true competitors show up. Steph Curry was it for Team USA in basketball. So the idea of Mark Cuban to say we're giving it away for free and taking all the injury risk, you know what? You are giving it away for free because it's bigger than your team and your assets. To think that you're bigger than the Olympics, in my mind, is a massive slap in the face. Doesn't mean you have to force the players to go play in the Olympics, but the players that want to definitely get to. And if you're trying to sway players not to, I just don't like that mindset. To act like your assets are more important than the Olympics, I'm not buying any of that. So that was what I wanted to say. And apparently he sold his team on it. So is that important of a deal? And again, it goes back to, if every decision you make is about money, you're going to risk hurting the product as a whole. And this is why I talk about college football the way I do. It's not that I don't mind players getting NIL money. It's every decision after that. This has been bizarre. When it comes to conference realignment, when it comes to, how these universities have been handling some of the House settlement stuff and how they're still trying to get through the College Sports Commission, and with all these NIL deals, they just still want to go overhead. Like, you get to a certain point when everything's derived to make more money for the people on top, you're ruining the product as a whole. No longer are you doing it for the fans, you're doing it for your dollar. And of course, there's a business element to it. That's always going to happen. I'm not naive enough to the point to think, these guys are going to do it for free, or they're going to take a, $100,000 check that year through an entire year when they're billionaires that own it. I understand there is a bottom dollar, and they do have people to respond to and make sure their team is making money. But let's be honest, if you're in the NBA, NFL, it's revenue sharing. So you just got to field a team together and pay for the facilities and all that, which is expensive. But then when you get that check at the end of the year, it doesn't matter if you're the Carolina Panthers, you're winning. That's how it's been for the Carolina Panthers, who's just been, feels like the want to really hasn't been there for a long time. I use my Chicago Bulls as that same one. It's like, do you guys want to win, or are you just collecting checks? Because when it comes about money and not, thinking long term, like, how can we make this the most profitable organization in the league? No, how can I make this the most profitable year in my individual portfolio? It's when you get to teams just ruining. How is a place like Chicago? Chicago Bulls, the third biggest city in the U.S. that has the GOAT, the greatest of all time, unanimously, at least in people in my generation. I say it with a grain of salt. You have people like LeBron James, fair enough, but debatable GOAT and Michael Jordan, the greatest dynasty run that we've probably seen, when you can win 3, take a break, come back and win 3 straight again. Unreal. You have a legendary coach in Phil Jackson. You got Scottie Pippen. You even got Kukoc. You got Dennis Rodman. How do you go from the third biggest city with all that history and that incredible fandom that the Bulls created, and you do nothing with it? You're telling me you can't get major superstars to want to go revive that city? Of course they'd want to. I still see Chicago Bulls jerseys in every state I go to. And if you were to look at the last 15 years, there's no reason why any of us should be wearing those jerseys, because they haven't seemed to really have tried. I like guys like Vucevic, but he's been on that roster forever, and it hasn't worked. But they have had no need to move on from it, because to me, it's just clear like the desire to win, at least from ownership, isn't there. And when you have situations like that, you take advantage of a fan base that is loyal, that was in love with it of the past, and now you're at a point where, again, back to, I just want to protect my assets. I don't want to take any unnecessary risk. I don't want to pay luxury tax, because if we don't win, then I got to pay luxury tax, and it's not going to be nearly as profitable for me, even though I'll still make millions on the back end. So that's where you get to this point where sports have grown so much that unfortunately you end up with teams and these pro organizations that it really is just about not winning, but just, can I make my money this year? And like I said, there's always going to be that business element that is always going to exist, and rightfully so. You're not going to have a great business if you don't care about money at all. You should care about money. But when you get to the point where you have guys like Mark Cuban thinking that their needs and wants of their team is bigger than the Olympics, that's where I draw the line. You have to have some respect for everyone who did it in the past, especially when all those people were making way less money in the NBA contracts. I understand you don't make a lot of money when you go participate in the Olympics. Like, the U.S. doesn't cut you massive checks, but it's not supposed to be about the money at that point. And especially in a year like this, where the U.S. is going to be able to host the Olympics, or these upcoming Olympics, I should say, like, you absolutely would want people to participate because we're hosting. It's you'd want to defend it, and you want to come out on top, whatever the medal count at the very end there, as well as basketball, which has grown more popular than ever. Every year we see more and more overseas guys not transfer, but get drafted into the NBA in year out. I mean, you're seeing some of these guys in just this year's summer league who we didn't have a pulse on, but they're incredible players. And guess what? Those players, there was more and more of them happening every year, and those players are definitely going to go play for their home countries because they want to take down the U.S. And over here, we're so worried about protecting our assets that we can't. How dare we even think about it? How Adam Silver, you're making me so upset with this that I'm not even going to be part ownership of the Mavericks anymore. So I know it's a long rant, but I hate that type of conversation because I think college football does that too, where we get to the point where 9 out of the last 10 moves are made about money. People are still going to watch on college football Saturdays. But what happens if you go 20 moves where it's all about the money? Okay, now let's go 30 straight moves where it's just about the money. You don't even have the same products of what you had when you started. And can that new product survive the same or as good as the old one did? Probably not. So that's my whole beef with it. I don't, It is that you can maybe call it a peasant's view because I don't have $1 billion. But even if I had $1 billion, I don't think I'd ever, leave a team because I was upset that we were participating in the Olympics. Bizarre statement, at least in my mind. We'll throw it to break on that. We'll get out of this rant. We'll talk some more college football on the other side, so don't go anywhere. Harrison Arens going solo, and then, like I said, we'll start best of the ticket later tonight for replays. So appreciate you listening, but don't go anywhere. One more segment on the other side.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Keep summer green with Judson Baleen and Judson Irrigation. More than 40 years ago, Judson Irrigation started taking in orphans. Lawn sprinkler systems installed by a quickie, cheapy summer job, install 'em and forget 'em outfit, long forgotten. Call Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Here at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now. Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Put lawn irrigation on automatic. Think Judson Irrigation for worry-free service to Lincoln homeowners and business community. Judson Irrigation will turn on your sprinkler system in the spring, repair or redesign as needed, and turn it off in the fall. For service to orphan sprinklers, remember Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid through your county veteran service officer. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. And unfortunately, this won't be any more positive of a segment as I kind of went off on Mark Cuban before again. So I just think it's ridiculous to put your assets above the Olympics. Insane move for me. But nonetheless, let's talk about some more maybe depressing news. Teddy Bridgewater, talking about the NFL here. Teddy Bridgewater has been suspended by Miami Northwestern as the Florida High School Athletics Association investigates alleged impermissible benefits. Bridgewater, a volunteer coach who won a state championship in year one, reportedly spent well over $200K from his pocket to cover team and player expenses. And this one's tough for me because I'd have to really figure out if he was breaking rules, but it just gets to this point where it's really sad when you have someone like Teddy Bridgewater, who he's not just like picking a random place to go because he's like, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to make tons of money. And he's not making a dime doing any of this. He's going to his alma mater, a high school that he gives a ton back to because he gives them credit for helping him become the player that who he is today. And you have him. And as far as I can see, like the expenses aren't, here's a Gucci watch. Here's a new car. It's, do you need money for some new shoes? Like, do you need travel? Like, do you need a ride to get to practice? Do you need a ride to get to camp? Are you lacking food to eat after practice so you can fuel properly? To me, it's like I said, there might be real reasons why this needs to get investigated and why you can't do this, but you feel bad for Teddy Bridgewater, who also doubles down though, and he's not changing, but it's suspended by Miami Northwestern and a Mid-Florida High School Athletics Association investigate. And again, all of the lining is impermissible benefits provided by the program, according to a post from the coach and Monday Morning Report from Andy Villamarzo of Rivals. The suspension came from Miami Northwestern, and it's impossible to suspend someone who doesn't work for you. So and again, this is Teddy Bridgewater's quote. And again, he's a volunteer coach, so he might have something right for this. So he's suspended, but he doesn't work for you. And to his own words, quote, so if I'm suspended from Miami Northwestern, I'm free to go to another school of my choice, but I'm not going anywhere, Bridgewater wrote. And if it comes down to it, I will volunteer from the bleachers like I used to in 2018 and 2019 when no one had a problem. So, I mean, again, I don't know the full story, but something kind of stinks because apparently he has been doing the same type of help, from the bleachers, but now he's a volunteer coach, and that's where the lines gotten drawn, that he can no longer do this. But the fact that he's a volunteer, I'm not really sure what legal rights they have to say that he can't help players out with a meal. Again, nothing I'm seeing here as far as like what he's spending money on seems to be just over the top ridiculous. So unfortunate for Teddy Bridgewater as he's trying to help out his alma mater, $200K out of his own pocket, and he's possibly suspended from the school he's trying to help, his own alma mater. And again, maybe he's breaking some actual rules there. It is unfortunate that it feels like it's definitely not nefarious. He's not abusing it. He maybe is just breaking a rule that I don't know if someone would have to snitch on it almost, like for this to be seen, or who would have legitimate gripes for it. Because again, unless he's like paying players like come over here, I'll pay you. Like obviously you can't do that type of stuff. But just unfortunate situation for Teddy Bridgewater. But if you're Teddy Teddy Bridgewater fan or a fan of that high school, sounds like he's not going anywhere, even if it means he has to do it from the bleachers. So shout out to him. Hopefully he's doing it the right way, but from everything I'm reading, it's an unfortunate situation, but his heart's definitely in the right place. Like anytime you want to help your alma mater out, when you make it big into the NFL and you're still currently in the NFL, like you tip your cap. That's what I think all pro athletes that you really respect end up doing. I can point out my very own alma mater from Cedar Catholic, where I grew up, Russ Hochstein. We got the field named after him. He put a bunch of money back into our school. I think I'm right. He was the guy that gave us the charter bus. A C2 school that doesn't necessarily have all the money in the world, C2 private school, so you're not getting funded outside either. And you get a alma mater who hooks you up with a charter bus to help you with the travel. So you don't have to take multiple buses. You got a nice charter bus. It's got storage underneath. Like, to me, that's the same lane that Bridgewater was under. So it's very unfortunate that someone put out there to get him suspended despite just being a volunteer. Unique situation with him, but unfortunately that is the situation for Teddy Bridgewater. With that being said, that's all I got for tonight. Tomorrow we'll be back live with plenty more Ticket Weeknights. We'll keep it the crew here. DP might hop on for an hour, but we'll have Jeffrey Calhoun, myself, Tristan Gomez, some of the new ticket talent. Maybe we'll even get Rudy or Ellie in here as well. But we are going to have Best of Ticket coming your way yet, so you don't got to worry about that. The Ticket Weeknights is not over. We will continue to play. Shout out to Mr. Blitzkrieg over here. Before we get out of here, it says Norfolk Catholic better than Cedar Catholic. I'll give you this much. When we played him in basketball, Ethan Piper had me beat. I could not guard that man. He was too big, too strong. I tip my cap to Norfolk Catholic. That team's basketball team with Ethan Piper, hard man to stop. And I won't deny that much. But like I said, appreciate you guys listening. Nonetheless, I'm Harrison Arens. We'll have plenty more for Ticket, Best of Ticket replays. Don't go anywhere. All that coming up next.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? Do you need a lawyer you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion? The attorneys at Liberty Law understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Contact us for a free consultation by calling 877-42-LIBERTY. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.